An intellectual carrot, the mind boggles.
You see? You see? You're stupid minds. Stupid! Stupid!
Earth has had Santa Claus long enough. We will bring him to Mars.
I've been afraid a lot of times in my life. But I didn't know the real meaning of fear until I had kissed Becky.
One thing will be clear. It's not for man to interfere in the ways of God.
It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Earth vs. Soup, episode 178. I'm Aaron Pollier.
And I'm Darlene.
What did we watch today, Darlene? What did we watch?
Dementia 13? Is that
Dementia 13. And you found this, and I kind of said, all right, let's do it. It said horror. It's available free on Amazon Prime. And the only reason I think we are even recording this episode, at least on my end, is because I think the stuff behind the scenes is a little more interesting than the actual movie. I don't really think it even fits in our genre, but we're still recording an episode on it because I want to inform people about it.
It's a mystery horror.
Is it? Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, it's a mystery horror.
They want to classify it as psychological horror, but
yeah,
it's not.
Is it good? Is it good?
Well,
No,
it was
no.
written in one day.
It's all right. All right. Look, this is a Roger Corman movie. Now, I saw that and I said, I don't have a problem with Roger Corman movies because while they might be bad, they're often memorable. Okay?
This one is not memorable.
I don't. You know what? We just finished watching it, and I said, Darlene, we need to record immediately. Otherwise, I'm not going to have a thing to say about this movie. Because the only thing I will ever remember about it is that
the gravestone in the pond.
No, is the behind the scenes stuff.
Oh,
it's basically this movie was put together with a remainder of money from another Roger Corman film that he had left over. I don't know, like the racing bunch.
The racing something or
yeah,
other.
and it was like $20,000.
$22,000.
And then
somebody else
his new director, Francis Ford Coppola, the big director. He actually is a very skilled director.
Got around another $20,000
and made this movie, and wrote it in a day, and then filmed it in 9.
Was it only filmed in 9?
Yeah, filmed in 9 days, and.
I suggest anyone today try to film something in 9 days.
I'll be fair again before we even started on the plot. I was confused all the way through the plot. I was confused all the way through. I was bored about 70% of the time.
And he walked out on it.
I walked out on the film for a while. I actually had to get up and walk around because I was falling asleep.
And he really didn't miss anything.
No, I didn't. I walked out and I got the mail and I didn't miss anything. So everyone can take this as I'm not angry at this film. This is more of a review of a warning. This is a warning.
I didn't get how many minutes it was because I had 3 different...
Hour 15. Just that's what Internet Movie Database says. That's what I'm going to go with. I didn't time it. I don't care.
Well, it had 3 different times on it.
Sure. There's a couple other things that I kind of want to mention about the actors and actresses in this because, believe it or not, I think there actually are some decent actors and actresses in it. Like I said, with these reviews on Earth vs. Soup, I will always try to say something positive about these movies, and there is positive things about this. But it's to the actors. The lead actress is Mary Mitchell. She does a pretty damn good job. She's actually in a few classic like TV shows like Man from U.N.C.L.E. She's in the Munsters for an episode. She's in a couple sci-fi movies. That's it. I think she did a pretty good job in this. The real actor is William Campbell, who plays Richard in this. People that are watching, that are listening to us, that are science fiction fans will know will know William Campbell as being Trelane from the original Star Trek series. He's the guy that basically everyone assumes is Q, is a Q from the original series. And he also plays the Klingon Koloth, who appears in Deep Space Nine. So this actor has been in Star Trek as, I would say, a couple notable roles. Let's put it that way, along with other movies. Beyond that, Francis Ford Coppola as the director. Francis Ford Coppola is known for some truly staggering films like The Godfather, like Apocalypse Now. Darlene, you even know those movies.
Yeah, who doesn't know the Godfather movies?
Yeah, I mean, they're some of the most important American cinema
But he
ever.
only did 1 and 2, right? He didn't do 3.
I don't know.
Did he do 3?
See, yeah, now you're making me think about it, because I would automatically say, well, of course he did, but no, he probably didn't, because
I thought there was a whole different director on 3.
he probably didn't. No, he did. Come on, that's yeah. Anyway,
1 for Darlene.
because I forget, like you say these things and it's like I have to assume things, or I think I know the answer, and then I'm recording and I don't want to sound like a complete idiot. Because I think I know the answer, but I don't, then I lock up, right?
Well, let's just put it this way.
He produced Godfather Part 3.
Oh, he produced Godfather 3.
Yeah.
I thought there was... I thought there was 2 different directors for those 3 movies.
Well, yeah, there is. He produced Godfather 3. He didn't direct it. So anyway,
you want me to start with it?
No, you're going to have to lead this. You're going to have to lead this. Otherwise, my actual summary of the plot will likely only take about 3 minutes.
In the beginning, you see, in the dark, a rowboat and a guy with a radio, a suit and a radio, and he's turning on his thing, and he's going for a thing.
He turns on his thing, going for a thing.
He turns on the radio and goes for a boat ride, and his wife goes with him.
Okay.
Even though all he wants to do is be alone. His wife nags him about the will, and the guy gets a heart attack.
They telegraph it, though. They telegraph it from like line 1, because he's like, if anything happens to me, you're not going to get the you're not going to get any money from my will,
because it all goes to a charity of something to deal with Catherine.
And then he has a heart attack, and she's like, "You bastard!" and beats the hell out of him as he dies. Like, what?
No, she was looking for his pills.
No, she was looking for his pills. Then he croaks, and then she beats the hell out of him and dumps his body overboard. And here's the thing: you think this whole movie is going to be about her trying to scam the money out of the family?
No,
it has nothing to do with the
She
goddamn
does
plot.
try to scam the money, the money from the.
But it has nothing to do with the actual plot of the movie.
The plot starts way before the movie even starts. But anyway, can I do this? Or are you gonna read it?
No. Do it.
Louise, which is the wife of John, which is the guy that just died, types up a letter. She's supposed to be in New York, and she plots to get the will changed from his mother. So she goes to Ireland.
To a castle.
Castle and their last name.
Halloran. Castle Halloran. It's not a real place. Go with it. I'm helping here.
Then there's another woman that is picked up by Billy.
Yes.
Billy is the youngest son.
Yes.
And her name is Kane, and she's the fiance to Richard, the second child.
Yes. Asterisk. Like, I actually don't know. I thought there were 3 brothers, right?
There's 3 brothers, and there was 1 girl. The 1 girl died 12 years ago.
Yes.
And that's where this thing starts with. And it flashes between some weird stuff. Like, your next scene goes to Billy and Kane talking. Now, Kane is a girl.
Yes, and I thought, just because of her name, I thought, is this like a Cain and Abel story? Are they going to take, like, because it's not like she's Candy Cane or anything like that, like some sort of James Bond girl. Her name is just Kane.
I thought she was Kay.
I thought
until I looked it up and it was Kane.
Darlene, I have 4 different names written down for her because of the way they're speaking it. I had Jane, Kay, Kate, and Kane. Like, okay.
So these people were not enunciating her name well.
Yeah, and it was slightly different each time at the beginning of the film, to the point where I was scratching out her name over and over and over again.
I had that problem too.
Yeah,
See how I had K there, and then I changed it to K.
So you've already gone through half my notes for this film.
Okay. Well, there's this poacher, and he's in the mud, and so is his doggone shotgun, which I'm like, he couldn't have shot anyone anyway if he's got that far, if he's standing that far in the water. But he's a poacher, and in Ireland you would have.
It doesn't matter. There's poachers. This is like private land. He's on there hunting, and you know what? This side character is arguably the most charming character in the film.
That's when you went.
I'm like, I'm done. I don't care. This guy's a side character, and he's the only character I actually care about so far. And if he appears again in the film, I would be surprised. I am surprised he does appear for like 15 more seconds in the film.
Yeah, that's when you walked out. But anyway, they're having a memorial the next day for Catherine.
Sure.
And the mother passes out because she thinks the flower died as
it touched her
the grave.
Okay, but remember, Kathleen died like 13 years ago.
12 years ago.
12 years ago? Okay. She died 12 years ago. They have this funeral service every year.
Her mom passes out every year.
Now, does this have anything to do with the rest of the plot? No. Okay. Again.
Aaron, it does kind of. It does kind of. Because this is where Louise uses Lady H's passing out in that, and tries to use her to get money by the floating toys. She goes and jumps into the kid's room, picks up some toys.
Yes.
Has to go through a window in a hallway
to get into this kid's room to steal her dolls.
And then takes a wrench and some twine and some chemical and ties the dolls in that and goes down into the bottom of the pond. She sees the grave. And
it's not a grave. It's not a grave.
It's a tombstone. And what looks like
there's a body in it.
A body that is floating with a white dress.
Yeah.
And she screams
underwater.
And tries to come out, and somebody kills her at that point.
Yeah, axe murderer.
An axe murderer.
Now, can I say, the dolls thing is the only piece of this movie as a plot point that actually makes sense.
See, this would have worked just with that. If Louise was constantly messing with the family over the death.
Yes,
but it isn't that because they kill Louise.
Okay, so what happens? Can I talk about what happens with those dolls? Because like I said, this is the only interesting piece to me. That Louise was screwing with the mother about these dolls because she convinced her that somehow Kathleen would communicate her wishes to her via the pond that she drowned in.
Because she can hear the music of a child.
Yeah. Okay. So she contrives to put these dolls in there and then be there for when the mother sees these dolls come up to interpret that as like, oh, she's letting go of her childhood. You should let go too. I'm here for you, blah, 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 to ingratiate herself with the mother. So what happens is that obviously she gets killed. The mother comes out and sees the dolls starting to float
Oh,
up.
they're having dinner out in the middle of the yard.
And it's cold.
And Lily, the maid who is running all over the place looking for all these names are the same. Louise.
All these names are the same. I don't even have names after a little bit. Like I have Billy written down.
Lady H is having there's a conversation with Lady H and Dr. Caleb, okay, who's seeing her because she passed out, and the maid, and he sends the Lily to go get food, and Lady H sends her to go get Louise, and the maid tells the other people they're having it on the terrace, which somebody wrote the wrong thing because it's
just out in the middle of the yard. Yeah.
And as they're eating, the toys pop up from below. So there's some kind of chemical she put on.
That's what she rubbed on. She like rubbed on acid or something like that to eat away. But
it's twine.
Onto the twine. But when I was watching it, it wasn't clear what she was doing at first when she was putting all these dolls together. And then she just starts stripping off her clothes. And I was like...
You go, that's unnecessary.
That's unnecessary nudity.
Like, and I'm like, yeah, no, it isn't.
Well, it's because it wasn't clear what she was doing yet.
I kind of knew what she was doing.
I didn't, because I was confused. Well, I mean, the whole movie. The point is that she's sitting there. She just takes off her top and the camera lingers on her.
On her boobs.
Yes.
As she's bent over, and she doesn't have very much boobs, so...
It doesn't matter. It's that it was unnecessary to me. Like, you could have shown her, like, taking off, like, take it off and then cut before you really see anything.
And have her jump into the water.
And just have her jump into the water. This was like the camera lingers on her for an uncomfortable amount of time.
And she looked very uncomfortable.
Yeah, the actress looked uncomfortable.
That's one of the things I know. And all I come up with is that she's doing this to make Lady H crazy.
Yeah, we've already talked about that. Yeah.
The poacher, the next scene you see after the toys pop up and Dr. Caleb talks to Billy to find out where Louise is. The poacher is doing his poaching thing near the pond, and he gets axe murdered because he finds the body of the child.
Which isn't a body.
It turns out it isn't a body, but you don't know that.
But we don't know that because it looks pretty good. Let's put it that way. Oh, Darlene, we don't need to go through every single one of these scenes that goes back and forth and back and forth. We're going to sound insane because none of this makes sense.
Then I don't know why the doctor is doing what he's doing. He gets Billy to go to the club, the pub.
To get him liquored up?
To get him drunk. He has the caretaker drain the pond to find the tombstone.
And, okay, so all of these
and
little
then
things...
he turns around and blames Richard for making the tombstone, which makes him go down to his father's workshop that's in the dungeon.
But does that have any... What's the reason behind that, though? Because it's not like Richard actually did anything. It's not like Richard is... It's not like the doctor's following him. He's not. It's just that Richard goes down there in a drunken haze. It seems like he just kind of stumbles down there and then does nothing.
And his fiancée rescues him out of his madness. But I think he's looking for the tools.
You think, but I don't even know why he was down there. And then it jumps ahead to a wedding.
No,
reception.
It jumps to Lady H going and trying to give a tiara to where her daughter used to play in the outside. Somebody axes that place down.
Yes. So somebody axes the place down.
And
she screams. She runs and collapses in front of the house, and they bring her inside.
Yep. And that allows Cain to be able to marry Richard.
why does that allow Kane to marry Richard?
Because
it just jumps to the next scene and they get married.
Because the mother is not wanting Richard to marry Kane.
Okay, so the first time we meet Kane, when she comes to the house, there is a quick scene that, yes, the mother seems to be against the marriage. It is not brought up again for the rest of the movie.
But that's why the wedding can happen. And I'm just saying, and what really gets me is the gravestone says, "Catherine, forgive me."
But because it's not a gravestone, anyway. God, we sound like we're insane thinking, because this film is it feels disjointed. It feels like it's pointless. It feels like it just kind of wanders around aimlessly.
And then that's where Dr. Caleb gets Billy drunk.
Yeah, but Billy just comes out like what the hell happens? The doctor goes out to like the stables and he finds like a dead woman hanging from the rafters along with a pig carcass. And you're like, what the hell's going on?
That's Louise.
Yeah, it's Louise.
And I thought it was the doctor.
Yeah, because you're like, the doctor doesn't react at all, right? He doesn't react at all.
And he picks up the wax
doll that's in like a wedding dress.
And puts it on the fountain that doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay, look, if you're a doctor and you don't know what's going on, supposedly, and you walk out to this building like searching for things, and suddenly there's a bloody corpse of a barely dressed woman hanging by the neck on like a meat hook, you're going to have a reaction of some sort, unless you are a sociopath as well. He has no reaction. So what do we automatically think? This guy clearly did it. He's not surprised at all. He has no reaction, and matter-of-factly picks up another what looks to be a body.
Yes, and it's a wax doll that Billy made.
Yeah.
Of his sister.
And so he brings it out to the fountain, and like he I guess he somehow makes a scream that sounds like a woman, because remember, it's a woman's scream.
Maybe it was one of the wedding.
Nope, because the first people to come out there were Richard and Kane.
Okay.
There was no one there.
That were making love they were
consummating their marriage in the barn.
In the hayloft.
Yeah. So they come out there, and Richard starts freaking out because it looks like his sister. And then Kane starts like wandering towards it like a zombie, reaching out towards this body. And Billy's there going like, "Don't you touch her!" And like tries to axe her. And I think that's where it's the doctor that like guns him down. Guns Billy down.
And he sinks into the mud of the pond.
The end. Oh, no. Excuse me. Then the doctor callously goes, "Oh, don't worry. This is just a wax dummy that he built." And he buries the axe that he's holding, that he picked up from Billy, into the head of the wax dummy in one of the most gruesome freaking things that I've seen, because it looks very good in the black and white, right? And you're like, what kind of sociopath would do that? That's
my recommendation of this one is to either be totally high, totally drunk, or not watch this.
This is awful. Now, but I'm like I said, this is Earth versus Soup. I will always say something positive about a movie.
That wax dummy is really good.
That wax dummy is fantastic. In black and white, no, seriously, that's no joke. That wax dummy is fantastic. It really is. As a special effects prop, fantastic. I don't think I've seen a wax dummy used so effectively in a movie in a long time.
And this could have been a lot better if they just went with Louise.
Sorry, Darlene does not speak English at times.
Louise doing a psychological bribery to the family.
She's just scamming everybody. Like this is a House on Haunted Hill situation where somebody's screwing with everybody's minds, right? Let's get Vincent Price up in this, and this would have been fantastic. I'm not saying like get Vincent Price, but if this was like a house,
these actors in it just needed to be
House on Haunted Hill up.
The doctor needed to be trying to investigate it.
Yeah.
And to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
because now people are becoming worse. You know, Catherine was already
Crazy.
gone,
Yeah.
but now Billy and Richard and Kane are going insane now.
Yeah, and it's because, you know, Louise is driving them all mad with like these weird supernatural things that she's pulling. And you know, that could have actually been interesting, right? Like maybe it does drive Billy completely over the edge and he becomes a psychopathic killer from that. Like,
Yes,
okay, that's interesting.
Like
The movie does not do that.
Like he attacks his own mother.
Like out of this movie, the one thing I can say that works is that wax dummy. While I think that William Campbell and Mary Mitchell did a good job in this, they didn't rise to the point of me saying that worked, because I was still bored with their performances. I think with the material that they were given, they did a good job, but I was still bored. The dialogue was dry. It was badly paced, badly edited. The plot was awful to the point of me just being like, I don't care what happens next.
And I don't know if it was intended to be this way, but it seemed like that was the most unloving family I ever met.
Oh, no
and
one loved
even
each
the
other.
relationships between the fiance and Richard,
Kane and Richard.
Kane and Richard were uncomfortable.
No chemistry, none.
And Louise and her husband,
they hated each
other.
And obviously no chemistry there. There's no chemistry anywhere. There's no sign of love. The doctor comes across as a sociopath.
Oh yes, he does.
Like full on sociopath all the way
even
through.
When he's having the conversation in Lady H's bedroom with the maid there, it was like,
there's something wrong.
You're wanting to just take over this place.
And here's the thing: if you were being generous, you might be able to say, "Oh, hold on, they're trying to set it up so that the doctor is." Everyone thinks the doctor's the guy that's doing all this. I can't give this script that much credit. Yes, this was partially written by Francis Ford Coppola. Guys, if you want to see a bad Francis Ford Coppola film, written by Francis Ford, this is not good. It's not the worst film we've seen.
It was written in one night.
Yeah, I mean, this is no drafts. It's just like one. This is the first draft of a movie, and they used like people that were just there, and you can tell that they used like locals for some of the stuff, like the pub owner.
Everybody in the pub was
just locals. I don't know what else I can say about this movie besides like I was very bored. I was bored all the way through it. The plot I didn't care about. I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't care about who done it either. Like it didn't matter. To me, it just didn't matter. There's no stakes. You haven't successfully set up the stakes in this. Why do I care about all these characters who hate each other? Right?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to have
the only person that I felt empathy for was the maid?
Really? Like I felt a little bit for
the
Kane.
Maid. I felt the caretaker and the maid. I was like, these people are just put upon.
Like I felt a little bit of sympathy for Kane just because the mother hated her and I hated the mother. But that's it. Like there's just no. I hate completely crapping Kane. On these films all the time. I hate
had
doing
a problem with Kane after she went down, sneaking down, finding Richard, and then goes, "Let's just get married. Your mom's unconscious, so it won't be a problem."
Well, yeah, screw her. Come on, what kind of thing to say?
That was just wrong. And then, I lost my care for the caretaker when he took the bribe from the doctor to.
Well, the caretaker should have wanted to drain the pond with what the doctor was saying. Like, hey, look, I think there's clues in this pond. This pond seems to be the center of some of this stuff. And the caretaker didn't give a crap.
He should have not had to take the bribe.
Yeah, the caretaker had to like get a wad of money to just turn a couple cranks to drain the pond. Like, I don't know. I was trying to say, I hate crapping on these movies because people clearly put work into it. Yes, this movie was very little work, but people put work into it. I'm not going to blame the actors. If I had to like say the one person at fault here, it's not even Roger Corman. Like Roger Corman had money left over and said, "Hey, make a movie."
I wanted to make a quickie is what.
Yeah. You know what? That there's nothing wrong with that. I would actually have to blame Francis Ford Coppola here. I think that's if there's one person to blame, it's Francis Ford. It's not Roger Corman.
Or if there was too many people in the pot.
Dude, it's Francis Ford Coppola. He was the director. He's the one that sold the distribution rights in Europe for it to get the extra money. He's the one that wrote it in one night and just decided to shit it out on the camera.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Francis Ford Coppola, I have respect for a lot of your movies. A heavy respect for a lot of your movies. But this? Wow.
Was this his learning curve?
I actually don't know if this was his first movie or not. I'm gonna look it up while you're talking. What are your last thoughts?
I thought the settings was kind of neat. I thought it didn't make sense of having lunch clear out so far, needed to be close to the pond, but was so far from the house that it was just ridiculous. Didn't make sense.
Yeah, not his first movie. Not his first movie.
What else can I say about it? I did say that the settings were kind of neat.
How? Okay. That's fine. That's your opinion. That's okay. I'm not going to make an argument about that.
Because like the long hallways fit with when you had Billy talking about he was depressed as he's sitting there playing with some wax on a paper.
Oh yeah, he was dripping wax on a paper for some reason. That was weird.
And he's like, my room is blah 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 down these corridors and up this thing, and he talks about where 3 people get killed,
like an uncle or something like
die.
That. Yeah.
Either die or
he's clearly obsessed with death. Yeah, I'm not recommending it. I'm not recommending this. I mean, as I said right at the beginning, if this wasn't Francis Ford Coppola, we would have been watching it and then we wouldn't have taped an episode about it. The only reason I feel that we should have taped this episode was because it was Francis Ford Coppola, because it was Roger Corman and his studio that did it. And this is kind of one of those weird low budget films from this era that does seem to tend to fit.
But Roger Corman has made movies that were cheaper than this.
That were better. Yeah. Roger, again, it's kind of like you and Ed Wood. People kind of shit on Roger Corman. Roger Corman's made very entertaining. I won't say he's made amazing films like high art. He has made very entertaining films. This is neither entertaining nor good.
Yeah, because it had you puzzled and had no laughs whatsoever about the weird.
Like I said, I just bored.
The only thing that was just weird was walking into a hallway, opening up a window, and going into a kid's room.
If I had to say one thing that is memorable, it's her sneaking into a kid's room through a window in a hallway. Like that is weird.
And Aaron's going, what are you talking? That's just a window. And I'm like, it's a window that goes into a hallway. And he had to watch it as she goes out the door,
out the window, out the window into the hallway of the castle, and it's like, what?
He missed that whole part where
because I was probably writing some inane note. Like most of these movies, I have like 2.5 pages, 3 pages of notes. This was barely a page, like less than.
Oh god!
And it was mainly just me saying which scene is happening. It like I normally write down like dialogue or interesting plot points. No, it's like so and so talks to so and so in the bar and gets drunk. Does this have anything to do with the plot?
Yeah,
not really.
Him getting Billy drunk was was supposed to be for him to get all the information out of Billy.
I know, and he didn't really, did he?
I don't think he did.
I mean, sort of. He starts talking about like how he saw men Like, Billy, remember that you told me about the man crawling up the wall in your bedroom
And all
at
he
night?
got from Billy
like,
is a nursery rhyme or something that was fishy, fishy.
I don't know.
Where's my notes on that?
2 out of 10, Darlene. 2 out of 10.
Yes.
Do not recommend. Like, it's just boring. It's not even a movie you can watch with the sound off, because there's nothing really interesting happening on screen either. It's not visually engaging. It's just not. So I want to leave it there. I'm sorry it's a short review, folks, but like, you might encounter this going through science fiction and horror from the 1960s.
Like I did, because it came up with.
It's
Prime.
one of your searches for sci-fi horror. It came up. Please avoid. We'll leave it there. So I'm Aaron.
I'm Darlene. Good evening.
And keep watching the skies.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.